All right, welcome to episode 5 of the Hobby Quick Hits podcast. A real short 10 to 15-minute podcast about a variety of topics. Been a few days, I think 3 or 4 days since we did one. First off, let me start out by saying I hope everyone's safe and well and continues to be such. Do what's advised. Hopefully, this quarantine and way of life is the short term rather than the long term. But number one priority: stay safe, stay healthy. Okay, so we can enjoy the things we enjoy doing. And one of those things, if you're in the hobby, hopefully that you enjoy doing, is attending the national each and every year. And the national is I've coined it the Super Bowl of the hobby. I kind of came up with that. I don't know if I'm the first person or not, but the why I came up with that is the Super Bowl in football terms is the end all be all, and everybody's there, celebrities, everyone pertaining to football and not football, and the national for the hobby is the same way. Everyone who's anyone, collectors, hobby celebrities, sports celebrities, celebrities in general, always come out to the national. So it's the Super Bowl of the hobby. I know what's going on. People are worried that it may not take place. We're in March here. This show takes place at the end of July, front part of August. So we got some time between now and then, and so a lot of the things can happen good between now and then. So we're going to go on the assumption that the show is going to take place, and I know I, for one, would be very disappointed if that wasn't the case. So let's talk about it. Some different tips and techniques to get ready for the show. Truth be told, last year was my first national, even after almost 40 years in the hobbies, crazy as that sounds. But even just going to one time and knowing about it for obviously many years, I've learned a few things. I can give some tips and advice as someone who just travels in general. I can give you a lot of advice on that end of the spectrum. So the first tip I would give you is, I know, like I said, we're in March here, 2020, but get your accommodations set. Hotels are in accommodations, whether it's a B&B and you rent a house, or a condo, or you're looking for a hotel room. This stuff, it's in Atlantic City. This is a tourist city to begin with, so availability for lodging is at a premium. So it's never too early to book your reservations. If you haven't done so yet, you might want to really look into that. Obviously, another tip I can give you is get the travel insurance. That way, if worst case scenario, something happens and the event does not take place. Again, we hope that's not the case. But if, God forbid, as they say, you will be able to get your funds back if that's the case. But again, let's continue as if nothing's going to happen like that. So book your reservation, whatever it may be. Shop around. There's some, don't always go with the first thing you see, but also at the same time, don't waste a lot of time doing that. I think that's number one. You got to have a place to stay if you're not just going for the day, and so it all starts there. Once you got your reservation set, that's a huge step. Then I would book your travel. Now, if you're like me, I'm here in the Syracuse, New York area. I flew to Chicago last year. I'm driving to Atlantic City this year, so that'll be nice. I can take more stuff, obviously, being in the car, than what you can take on the plane. So I'll have some more maybe cards than I took last year. I'll be doing some interviews at the show as well. Hopefully, get some time on the main stage and that sort of thing. So I'll have the car to have more gear, if you will, more personal belongings. But if you're flying or other ways of travel, again, you need to book that stuff now. And I'm going to be honest with you. Now's a good time to book because prices have come down because of what's going on. So, whether it's airfare or another way, I would definitely make your travel accommodations there. And if you do it now, you're probably going to get a cheaper deal. Okay, and it's all about saving money, because the more money you save, more money in your pocket to spend at the show, and that's a huge thing. So now you've got your place you're staying. You know how you're getting there, and the next is to prep for the show. And if you're a person that gets autographs at the show, the National has released their initial list of autograph signees, very extensive, even though it's just the initial one. A lot of Hall of Famers. So now, if you're an autograph person, start figuring out whose autographs you want to get. They do have VIP packages. I'm not an expert there. That you can check on the Nationals website, but they do have different autograph packages that will be available. So definitely take a look at that if you're someone that wants multiple signatures, multiple autographs. They have some good combo deals. But if you're just looking for one or two of certain players that are going to be there, start kind of looking at that and picking your itinerary. And so plan that. You're in Atlantic City. It's not a huge city, but again, there's a lot of things to do there besides the show. Obviously, if you're like me, you're going for the show. But this year, my wife and son are going to be going, and my wife's friend's going. And my wife and her friend have no interest in cards. They're going to spend some time at the beach, drinking a couple adult beverages, enjoying each other's company, and they're making a vacation out of it. For me, it is a vacation too. I'm going to have a lot of fun, but I'm there obviously for the show. Once the show's over, each day I'll head back to where we're staying, maybe get some beach time, and obviously enjoy a drink or two. So, start planning your itinerary. Where you're going to go, where you're going to eat. There's a lot of different restaurants. I'm a foodie, as you can see, and I like to eat. And so I'm going to look, where can we eat? Now we have a place that has a stove and a fridge. And so we're going to, go shopping and probably make a lot of meals at home, if per se, if you will, save a little money as far as eating out all the time. But when you travel, you want to hit maybe a famous restaurant that the locals say, oh man, you got to go here. Best steak or best chicken wings or whatever, the claim to fame is. Here in Syracuse, we have a place called the Dinosaur Barbecue. But every city has that restaurant that you should go. When I was in Chicago, you can't go to Chicago without having some deep dish pizza. So me and Sparty Hawk Cash, also known as Marlon Carlson, did that last year. Very good. And so Atlantic City, plan, depending on how long you're going to be there, plan a day or two, where you're going to eat. That's some of the most fun times, is sharing a meal with hobbyists, friends around the table, talking about your day, how the show went, and what you're planning on doing the next few days. And other activities, there's other things in Atlantic City that you may want to do. I mean, let's be real. There's obviously casinos, what Atlantic City's famously known for. And if that's your thing, knock yourself out. Don't lose your money. I remember what my grandfather always told me. Whenever we passed casinos, he'd point to them and he'd say, you see, Johnny, those buildings they didn't use their own money to build those buildings. They used everyone else's. So keep in mind, gambling could go either way. And so, be careful. And any money you lose is less money to spend at the card show. So we don't want to see that happen. So I'll probably be not partaking in that, but you never know. We'll see. We'll see how the day goes, but not planning on really. I might check them out, but I'm not planning on donating any of my money, less for cards, and that's no fun. So save money. Speaking of money, let's talk about saving money. For me, that now someone who plans on attending now every year, regardless of location, one nice thing that I'm saving a couple ways is driving there. So we obviously have gas money and that sort of thing, but we're also driving with some folks, so we'll save a little bit there. So that's important to save some money any way you can. Book early, and now with rates being down, now's your chance to save some more money. And so the more money you save, the more money you're going to have as discretionary income for the show. Another thing that I do is I put money aside all year, every week, into an account, and it's kind of like play money, if you will. It's extra money. It adds up. You don't even notice it all at one time, and then when you go look in that account, you're like, wow, I kind of surprised how fast that built up. The other thing I like to do, and I'm doing it for the first time with the National, is I started on January 1st. Obviously, I do sell some cards. And so what I did is this year, any card sale starting on January 1st all the way up until the National, I'm leaving that money in my PayPal account. I'm not transferring over to my regular bank account. I'm not buying from it. I'm just letting it add up to a good amount of money by not touching it. If I do buy cards, I'll use a separate way to pay. So I have another email account with PayPal, so I'll use that to pay for any purchases. But my main PayPal account, I'm letting that the money that I bring in from card sales and other sources of income that go through PayPal, I'm letting that add up, and I'm going to bring that obviously to Atlantic City with me as some discretionary income. Another thing that I do, and this I've done for 10 years now, and I can't take credit for it. A buddy of mine did it. He was always going to Las Vegas about 2 times a year, and I asked him, I'm like, how do you go into Vegas so much? And he's a gambler, so he hit the casinos, and he told me he does the dollar envelope. And I said, the dollar envelope, what's that? And he's told me what he does every day is at the end of the day, whatever dollar bill, singles, the ones in his pocket, the George Washingtons, at the end of the day, when he comes home for the day, he puts them in an envelope, and that's it. He doesn't go back in that envelope. And he says usually it works out for him at the end of the year. He's got like 1,200 ones in there. Now, when he gets to 100 or 50, he gets the bank wrappers for him and then bundles them up, puts them. He has a safe in his house, as do I. So I said, man, I'm going to do that. So about 10 years ago, I started this dollar envelope. It's a great tip, not just for saving money for the National, but saving money in general. So what I do, folks, is every day when I get home and I'm in for the day, I'm not going back out, I take whatever the ones I have in my pocket, in my wallet, I throw them in an envelope, and I forget about them. When I get 50 in there, I've already got the $50 bands from my bank. I band them up, I put them in the safe, and I work on the next $50. And I can tell you, I've done this 10 years, and I average in 1 year, I average anywhere from $800 to my best year, $1,300 in just $1 bills saved over the course of that year. And you don't even notice it. It's not like my wallet's bare. It's just the ones at the end of each day. Little tip to save some money and accumulate some money over the course of the year. So what I'm doing this year with those dollar bills is they're going to be part of my national fund, if you will. And you may have your own technique for saving money. It's sort of, like a Christmas club. You put 5, 10, 20 bucks a weekend. Maybe you do that with the national, instead of the Christmas club, you do the national club. Whatever works for you. I like the dollar envelope. I like the other thing, I throw 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks into that other account I mentioned, almost like a savings account. And then this year, what I decided to do is to not touch my main PayPal account, let it build up, and then use that funds as well. One of the things I want to do is buy a Leaf Jackie Robinson rookie. I'm wearing the jersey right here, but a card I've never owned, and I want to get one this year. Probably, obviously, low grade, but that's one of my goals. And I'd like to get it from the National, purchase it there, and have a little story with it. Whenever I look at that card, besides it being a famous card and an icon in the card hobby of a card, have a little story to it. I got that in Atlantic City, let's say, and sometimes the stories that go along with our cards are great too. So again, those are just some tips. Again, make your accommodations, book your reservation, book your travel, however it may be. Plan your itinerary. Where are you going to eat? Are you going to eat out a lot? Do you have a place like I do where it has a stove and a fridge and a microwave, and so you might not have to eat out as much? You got to think about these things. Obviously, if you're in a hotel room without a lot of accommodations, you're going to have to bring money for your food and that sort of thing. So you need to start planning your itinerary. Whose autographs do you want to get at the show? The other thing, if you know a lot of the dealers at the show, I know a lot of people do this. They actually arrange sales before the show even starts, and then they just complete the sale at the show. I have acquaintances that say, "Hey, I have to meet this dealer on Thursday. I'm buying this from them. It's all set." They put the card aside, and dealers like that too. Sellers like that too. They've already, have a sale in the bag without before getting there, and that's always a nice thing. And just make sure if you arrange a deal like that, you hold up your end of the deal. You show up, make the purchase, or if something changes, please let them know in as much time in advance, like, hey, I can't do it anymore, or something happened, and unfortunately, that way they can put the card out in their showcases and maybe sell it to someone else if unfortunately you can't complete the purchase. So, I've something I'm looking for. I might be with the Jackie Robinson. It just if I can find one and someone's going to be set up there and make a deal even before I get there and just meet up with that person and complete the transaction. So that's something I'll probably be looking to do with that Jackie Robinson card. So plan ahead. You can never be too planning ahead, and it's going to be fun. And cross our fingers here that everything goes as planned and whatnot. The other last tip I'll close out the show with, as someone who was there for 4 days last year, comfortable shoes. Comfortable shoes. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. If you have a fitness watch or something that counts your steps, you're going to break all sorts of records, most likely at the National. So comfortable footwear. There's the biggest complaint you saw on social media last year was my feet hurt, and so nothing beats comfortable shoes, comfortable footwear, comfortable clothing in general. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. There's a lot of ground to cover, and that's just in the convention center itself. Once you're out and about, maybe seeing the sights, you'll be doing more walking. So I know I set all sorts of step records last year in Chicago, and maybe I'll beat those in Atlantic City this year. So again, just some pointers. You might have some of your own. If you do, get a hold of us. Let us know what those are. We'll add them. We'll post them in the comments or on our social medias as well. So, and hopefully we get to meet some of you at the National in Atlantic City. So, with that being said, we're going to wrap up episode 5. Everybody, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for your time. We'll see you when we see you.